In ancient Egypt, the mighty Pharaoh ruled not just as a king, but as a living god. His word was law, his power absolute, and his reign extended over all the land, from the fertile banks of the Nile to the distant horizons of the desert. The people revered him, and his opulent palace was a testament to his divine status. But beneath the glittering surface of Egyptian society, a dark shadow loomed. The Israelites, a growing population within Egypt, suffered as slaves, forced to build the pharaoh's grand cities and monuments under the relentless, scorching sun. They toiled from dawn till dusk, their bodies weary, their spirits burdened by the weight of their oppression. Their spirits were crushed by the endless labor and the cruel treatment of their taskmasters. Yet, even in the depths of despair, hope lingered, a flickering ember of faith in a better future, a dream of freedom from bondage, and the promise of a land flowing with milk and honey, a land of their own. Their cries for deliverance rose from the brickyards, echoing across the parched landscape. They were desperate prayers whispered in the darkness, fervent appeals to the God of their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, begging for an end to their suffering and a return to their ancestral homeland. God heard their anguished pleas and chose Moses, a man of two worlds, an Israelite by birth, but raised in the very heart of Pharaoh's palace. He was a man caught between his heritage and his upbringing, destined to become the unlikely leader of his people. From a burning bush, a miraculous sight in the desolate wilderness, Moses received his divine mission, a calling that would change the course of history. The voice of God commanded him, "Go to Pharaoh, confront him in his power, and say, 'Let my people go.'" Though hesitant and unsure of himself, Moses obeyed the divine command, knowing the immense challenge that lay ahead. He was not alone, for Aaron, his brother, stood by his side, ready to assist him in this daunting task. Pharaoh, blinded by pride and power, refused to listen to Moses' plea. He saw the Israelites not as people deserving of freedom, but as valuable property, essential to his kingdom's prosperity and grandeur. In response to Pharaoh's defiance, God unleashed a series of devastating plagues upon Egypt. Blood, turning the life-giving Nile into a river of death, frogs, an overwhelming infestation that plagued every corner of the land, darkness, each plague a powerful blow to Egypt's pride and a demonstration of God's might. Pharaoh's heart wavered under the weight of each successive plague, but his resolve was fleeting. He would momentarily consider releasing the Israelites, then harden his heart once more, clinging to his power and his stubborn pride. The plagues continued, escalating in severity until the final, most devastating plague struck: the death of Egypt's firstborn sons, a tragedy that touched every household in the land. Broken by grief and the overwhelming power of God, Pharaoh finally relented. "Go," he told Moses, his voice filled with despair. "Take your people and leave Egypt." The Israelites' long and arduous cry for freedom was finally answered. After generations of slavery, the moment of liberation had arrived. They left Egypt behind, a land of both suffering and familiarity, stepping out into the vast unknown of the desert, their hearts filled with hope and trepidation. The journey to freedom had begun, a journey fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but also filled with the promise of a new beginning. The stage was set for a story of faith, resilience, and divine intervention, a story that would echo through history, inspiring generations to come. The Israelites fled Egypt by night, carrying only what they could. Guided by Moses, they followed a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night, a sign of God's presence. Their route led not to safety, but toward the wilderness and the Red Sea, a seeming dead end. Moses trusted the path, knowing this was a journey of faith, not logic. Meanwhile, Pharaoh's grief turned to rage. He rallied his army, hundreds of chariots, Egypt's mightiest force, to reclaim his slaves. The thunder of hooves echoed across the desert as the Egyptians closed in. The Israelites, slow and burdened, could not outrun the chariots. The Red Sea loomed ahead, an impassable barrier. Behind them, Pharaoh's army drew near. The taste of freedom soured into fear. The chase was on, and the Israelites were trapped. The air crackled with tension. A wave of panic, cold and sharp, swept through the Israelite camp. The ground trembled beneath the thunderous approach of Pharaoh's mighty army. They had tasted freedom, dared to believe in a future beyond slavery, but now that dream seemed about to be crushed. To their front, the seemingly endless expanse of the Red Sea presented an insurmountable barrier, blocking any hope of escape. The deep waters churned, a cold, indifferent wall against their desperate plight. Escape seemed impossible. The initial despair quickly morphed into bitter anger. The weight of their predicament settled heavily upon them, crushing their spirits. Frustration and fear fueled accusations. They turned on Moses, their leader, the man who had promised them deliverance. They blamed him, their voices rising in a chorus of accusation for leading them into what appeared to be certain death. "Were there no graves in Egypt?" they cried out, their voices raw with desperation and regret. The memory of their former lives, however harsh, now seemed preferable to the imminent threat before them. "Why did you bring us out of Egypt, only to bring us here to die in this desolate place?" they lamented, their voices echoing with despair. The terror of annihilation overshadowed everything. Fear twisted their perceptions, making the chains of slavery seem like a safe haven compared to the unknown horrors that awaited them. The people wept openly, their tears mingling with the dust of the desert. Mothers clutched their children tightly, seeking to shield them from the impending doom. Hope, once a burning flame, flickered and threatened to extinguish completely, leaving them in the darkness of despair. Yet, amidst the chaos and despair, Moses stood firm, a beacon of calm in the raging storm of fear. His faith was unwavering. He held fast to God's promise, the divine assurance that had guided them this far. He refused to succumb to the paralyzing grip of fear, choosing instead to trust in the power that had delivered them from Egypt. This was more than just a setback. This was a test, a defining moment not just for a group of people, but for an entire nation, a crucible in which their faith would be either strengthened or shattered. Moses knew he had to lead, not just with the courage to face the approaching army, but with an unwavering trust in the unseen power that had promised them freedom. The Israelites stood at a crossroads, facing a daunting choice: to surrender to the overwhelming fear that threatened to consume them, or to take a leap of faith, stepping forward into the unknown, trusting in the promise of deliverance. The impossible, in the form of the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army, stood menacingly before them. But Moses, his heart filled with unwavering faith, believed that deliverance was not just possible, but near. The story of their escape, their journey to freedom, was far from over. In fact, it was about to take a dramatic, miraculous turn, a testament to the power of faith in the face of impossible odds. Amid the chaos, Moses turned to God, carrying the weight of his people's fear. God's answer was clear: tell the Israelites to move forward. It was a call to act in faith, to step toward the impossible. God instructed Moses, "Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea." Moses faced the people, his voice steady. "Do not be afraid. Stand firm. The Lord will fight for you." The pillar of cloud moved behind them, blocking the Egyptians and lighting the Israelites' camp. For the Egyptians, darkness. For the Israelites, light. A divine barrier stood between them and their pursuers. The moment of deliverance was at hand. The impossible was about to unfold. The nation held its breath. As night began to fall, casting long shadows across the ancient lands, a sense of anticipation hung heavy in the air. The day's heat slowly dissipated, giving way to the cool embrace of the desert night. Moses, guided by unwavering faith, stood resolute at the water's edge, his weathered hands gripping his wooden staff. The weight of his people's hopes and dreams rested upon his shoulders. He gazed out at the vast expanse of water before him, a formidable barrier to freedom. With unwavering obedience, he extended his hand over the sea, a gesture of faith and trust in the divine power that guided him. It was a moment of profound significance, a testament to the unyielding bond between God and his chosen people. Suddenly, a fierce east wind began to blow with unrelenting force, its breath whipping across the water's surface, stirring the depths and creating a symphony of roaring sound. It was a wind unlike any other, howling through the night with an almost sentient fury, a force of nature unleashed to reshape the landscape and alter the course of history. With each gust, the wind intensified its assault, relentlessly pushing the waters aside, creating a visible separation, a pathway where moments before there had been only an impassable sea. Slowly, miraculously, the seabed emerged from its watery embrace, revealing a stretch of dry land, firm and solid beneath the howling wind. It was a path where none had existed, a testament to the boundless power of faith and the extraordinary possibilities that lie beyond the realm of human comprehension. The Israelites, huddled together on the shore, watched in awe and disbelief as the impossible unfolded before their very eyes. Towering walls of water rose majestically on either side of the newly formed path, like liquid mountains defying gravity, held back by an unseen force. The miracle unfolded slowly, deliberately, the wind relentless in its task, the path widening with each passing moment, beckoning them forward. By the first light of dawn, as the sun painted the sky with hues of hope, the way was finally open, a clear passage through the heart of the sea. A corridor through the heart of the sea, a pathway to freedom carved out by divine intervention, a testament to the power of faith and the promise of liberation. The ground beneath their feet was surprisingly dry, firm and stable, the waters held back as if suspended by an invisible hand, a testament to the extraordinary power at play. The Israelites stood before a profound choice, a moment of truth that would define their destiny and test the depth of their faith. Would they dare to step into the miracle, to embrace the unknown with courage and conviction, or would they remain paralyzed by fear, forever bound to the chains of their past? The way to freedom was clear, a tangible path laid out before them, an invitation to step into a new reality, a life free from oppression and filled with hope. The impossible had become reality, a testament to the boundless power of faith and the extraordinary possibilities that await those who dare to believe. The journey through the heart of the deep was about to begin, a perilous but promising voyage into the unknown, a testament to the enduring spirit of a people yearning for freedom. Moses gave the command, and the Israelites entered the parted sea. They walked between towering walls of water, the seabed beneath their feet. Awe replaced fear as families, young and old, crossed together. The pillar of fire lit their way, shadows dancing on the path. This was more than escape. It was a march of faith. Behind them, the Egyptians saw the open path and charged in, blinded by arrogance. Pharaoh's army thundered into the sea, chariots and horses in pursuit. But as they advanced, confusion struck. Chariot wheels jammed, progress slowed. The Egyptians were trapped in the very path meant for deliverance. The Israelites pressed on, every step a testament to faith. The sea, once a symbol of doom, had become their salvation. The final confrontation was near. The tables were about to turn. As dawn broke, the last Israelite reached the far shore. Moses, at God's command, stretched his hand over the sea once more. The wind ceased, the walls of water collapsed with a thunderous roar. The sea rushed back, engulfing Pharaoh's army. Chariots and soldiers vanished beneath the waves. Egypt's might was destroyed in moments. The Israelites watched as their oppressors were swept away. The threat was gone, utterly and finally. The Red Sea was calm again, but the evidence of deliverance lay on the shore. The Israelites stood in awe, realizing their freedom was complete. Pharaoh's power was broken. The impossible had happened before their eyes. They were free at last. As the sun rose, silence fell over the Israelites. The terror was gone. Only the gentle waves remained. They breathed deeply, their first true breath of freedom. Relief and joy swept through the camp, tears and laughter mingling. No longer slaves, they were a nation forged by a miracle. They looked to Moses with respect and to God with awe. Their faith, once fragile, was now unshakable. United by deliverance, they burst into song. Miriam led the women in dance and praise. Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The shores became a place of worship and celebration. This was the birth of a new identity, a people redeemed. The miracle was more than escape. It was a covenant. The journey to the promised land had truly begun. The splitting of the Red Sea became the cornerstone of Israel's faith. It proved their God was active, powerful, and just. This story would be retold for generations, a reminder of hope in the face of the impossible. Whenever they faced hardship, they remembered the dry path through the sea. The miracle taught courage, trust, and the power of faith. It became a universal symbol of liberation and hope. The command to move forward was a call to radical trust. The story inspired movements for justice and freedom across history. It marked the journey from bondage to hope, from despair to new life. The memory of parted waters and Miriam's song echoes through time. Faith, it showed, can part seas and lead to deliverance in the most miraculous ways.